Welcome to PopCast. My name is Dr. Popular. This is a crowd-sponsored yo-yo show. Thanks to Greg Knowles and all of my sponsors over on patreon.com/DOCPOP for making this possible. Right now I'm in St. Louis with my homie Kyle Nations. Kyle.
Hi.
Bam. National Kyle on Instagram and the fixed axle world yo-yo champion of 2019.
That's right.
Woo! So I'm here, I was here on work and I had like a day free. Kyle was super cool and he came and met me in this park. And I think I'm gonna show him some responsive freehand. Right now Kyle's playing with a prototype of the Pop Star. The Pop Art, which is a project I'm doing with Rain City Skills. And this is a yo-yo designed for responsive freehand play. It's pretty light, like the Weekender, but made out of Delrin, beatable, and has some things that kind of make it, I think, very, very good for freehand in particular. And then I'm playing with, I think it's called The Thing from Toy Bonnia. This is a rad responsive yo-yo, also good for freehand responsive. But yeah, we got two different yo-yos here. And have you ever thrown freehand before?
Little tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
Like three tricks.
I think what we're gonna do is try to go over some of the basics of freehand responsive, and I'm sure you'll get the hang of them quickly. Yeah. But this is something I never tried teaching before. You know, actually, since I've been learning freehand responsive, I sort of feel like I look like a total beginner again. Like I feel like I am just a total noob at this. So me teaching someone else is kind of laughable, but I'll show you kind of what I found so far. So the fundamental things I think for freehand responsive are maybe starting with a stall, and normally you do a suicide that way.
Yeah.
You go under. I think the kind of more common thing to do with freehand responsive is to actually throw over and catch.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and I made it a little clumsy here, but I think, there we go. Yeah. I don't have a name. How do we name these tricks? I don't even know if that's worth naming.
I don't even know what the originals are called.
So yeah, this is just a little toss over. Let's call it that. So you can, if you want, you can still do the normal, but the toss over is a lot easier, and it's sort of my default stall trick. Every time I stall, it pretty much goes bam.
Nice. And
this is a little easier, I think, if you do it with your string further apart. I tend to, when I catch a stall, catch pretty close. So if you give yourself a longer stall, a bigger stall, then it's easier to just toss.
Yeah, let's see.
So it's pretty much just a pullover, but you are in the stall, you toss, and you flip. And I usually kick out.
That was a clean one.
Awesome.
Except for the catch.
So now, to kind of bee sting this things are getting hard pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
Here. To kind of bee sting this, after I do this, I like to do that.
Oh, cool.
And so let's just kind of start with that move, which, or you can start from here and go out. It's catch onto your middle finger, and when it hits your middle finger, you're going to let go of the weight. So as it hits there, I let go. The weight goes around.
So over here.
Yeah. And you can toss it to give it a little bit of extra flow. I'm sure that I have just a tiny bit of toss there, and then you just let it fall. Yeah, there you go. And this is one of those tricky moves where the yo-yo is actually spinning the opposite direction than what you're used to. So it's hard to control. It's hard to kick out. So that's why I just let it fall if I can, and then catch it back up. So those two side by side are basically the equivalent of kind of the freehand bee sting, I think.
Yeah.
You can just kind of keep repeating those.
Or like I don't know, more casual bee, like just laying on you.
Yeah, just a bee butt, just putting its butt against you, but not
fully
stinging.
committing to the sting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't want to die.
Yeah, the pieces are there.
Rah, rah. I'm an eagle. I'm a bee. Rah, rah. Which brings us to our next trick. This is actually an old school trick. It's just an air regeneration, an air gen. Looks like that. Like super sloppy, but you get the idea. So for that, you're just doing a breakaway, and you're trying to get that tug response to happen. And I usually do it by throwing the ball. So as I'm doing the breakaway, I usually kind of aim for this direction, let go of the ball, it'll flip, and once it goes in, it'll shoot back out and just kind of around the world orbit. Yeah. You want to try that one?
Yeah. So like
They're like identical twins. They're conjoined twins.
Oh man.
All right, take two.
Here we go.
Take three.
Take three.
Now, honestly, this move, even though it's an old move and it's something that was sort of like a holy grail back in the day, is not something I find myself using and play very often. It's very risky. It is not super polished. It's, you know, it's a pretty raw trick. Maybe somewhere along the lines we'll really get to something more advanced with this trick. But for now, I kind of, you know, it's nice to know. Now let's talk a little bit more about sort of the basics of freehand and responsive yo-yoing. I think one thing that kind of comes to mind is just a very simple, just left and right stall, which just gets you used to kind of something to build on. So for this one, see if you can get the ball in the opposite hand before the stall.
Yeah.
And of course, from here, if you wanted to, you could do pull over, or throw over.
Yeah.
So now, I want to build on this building block like we were talking about.
Yeah.
I was saying when you're first learning this, try to get it to where the weight is in your other hand before you do the pull. But what you want to learn next is actually how to let the weight pull when it gets hit, when you do the catch. So for this, you could start here, but now when I go over to the other side, I'm going to keep this in my hand, and when it hits, I'm going to try to let it pull. Yes, like that. So it's just as much the yo-yo kind of winding up that's shortening your string as it is the pressure hitting the string. But this kind of feel of letting go right when the yo-yo lands on the string for a stall and letting the weight move is something you can do with like a bottom mount. I mean, it's something that comes up a lot. So kind of getting used to this is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's take it a step further.
Yeah.
This time, instead of letting the yo-yo wind up, let's drop and pull over.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and I actually like to do this straight from the original toss by just transferring that weight in the beginning. So from my breakaway, I just transfer hands and catch. But for this particular one, it goes here. Whoops. Here. You're gonna let go and just go around. I like to let it wrap around my thumb, and then I let go. Yeah. And then, bam. Nice.
Yeah. That was that.
Yeah. All right, we're done with stalls. We got a lot of fundamentals with stalls and freehand responsive. Let's talk about something I think you will dig.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. I like this a lot. I don't have a name for this. I'm going to try to come up with a name for it while we're filming here. But basically, it's a toss and you catch it the wrong way. And the reason is so that you can do a toss. So normally you catch it, you throw and you catch it kind of thumb up, but here you're going to throw and you're going to catch it thumb down. And then the reason you're doing that is so that you can grab the sides.
Yeah.
So you want to hold it like that, yeah?
Yeah.
And you're going to let go and go. Whoosh. And now what you're going to do is, for beginning, just do that.
Yeah.
And then you can do a pull start if you want.
Yeah. This one pulls so good,
But I think we want to go straight for this little aerial. So it's catch, toss, catch. Try pausing for a second before you let go, and putting your hand over. So yeah, and then you can try just giving a little more a little more air.
Yeah.
To really exaggerate that effect. Whoosh. The underflip. Is that a stupid name?
I like underflip.
All right. So basically, what I'm calling the underflip is just sort of this catch where you're catching the sides. You got the counterweight on your pinky, and you flip it over, and you can flip it into catch here, or you can flip it into catch here, or you can flip it into catch in the air. The underflip.
Something like that.
Now, I know you like pull starts and claw grinds and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to do an underflip into, like, you can do it from all sorts of positions.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's good not just for that little aerial flip, but it's good for setting you up. Yeah, I like to do it here, arms crossed, and then flip. And then you can either go out or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, that's way cool.
Might be a little easier with the Pop Art by Rain City Skills Club and drpopular.com. Oh, that's pretty. Right there. Bam. You're getting it, man. Now, one note about the underflip. This can actually be done with any freehand yo-yo, not just responsive. It's pretty easy with a responsive yo-yo, but you can bind into that same position. It's basically, the key is just, instead of catching it with your thumb up, is just binding or whatever into this position. I like to catch it, if I can, I like to catch it right on the side, so I'm already in that position to just be able to flip and then do whatever.
Have you tried, I just had this thought, just like kick flips, where you flip the whole thing? Or like a varial where you flip the whole thing?
I have thought about it. I have not been able to land it. I mean, that looks doable. All right, Kyle, do you think you can recap some of the tricks we've done? Let's see what you've learned.
We learned just going back and forth, sliding the die between your hands. Something like that.
Yep.
And throwing that over like that.
The toss over.
And then this bee sting motion.
The bee butt.
Yeah, the bee butt.
Yeah!
Yeah, and just release.
The free gen.
Free gen.
I think that's what it was called.
Oh. It's the regen part of the free gen. Yeah.
Nice.
Perfect. We did this thing. We were like,
The pop over. Wait, no, the under flip.
under flip. Let's see if I can do this actual like flip. Well, hang it.
try something new?
I'm trying something new.
Yeah.
I'm having a thought where you just...
Yeah. So like
Just
I have been
go
messing
all
around
the
with
way
tons of these things. The one that I was just working on is trying to catch it back in your own hand and go around.
Yeah.
Which is a bit Beglari.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
And I ended up kind of getting that into a little bit more of an air toss and found that worked a little better. Well, I think that's enough for an episode of PopCast. Thanks again, Kyle, for hanging out with me and covering these tricks. I find that I've been doing these tricks in a vacuum for so long, but as I'm teaching them to you, as I'm showing them to you, I'm learning more about the tricks myself.
Yeah.
And learning from watching you and getting inspired. So thanks so much for hanging out. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me as DocPop, DOCPOP. If you want to follow Kyle, it's National Kyle, National_Kyle.
Just National Kyle.
Just National Kyle. And if you learn any of these tricks and you want to share them on Instagram, use hashtag PopCast Yo-Yo, PopCastYoyo. And one final note, you can go to patreon.com/DocPop. Leave a comment on this video there on patreon.com/DocPop, whether or not you're a sponsor, and leave a comment and you get entered into a giveaway for a pop art when these come out. So leave a comment over on patreon.com/DocPop. Find this post with this video. Done.